This bird is called a bee eater because it eats all types of insects. This is the nest it stays in, and inside of there, they have eggs, and they keep it warm until the eggs hatch. But this is when a con artist is doing its job, because one of these eggs do not belong to the bee eater, an egg that's gonna hatch much before the other one. The sad part is right here. When the first baby is born, even though it cannot visually see anything, it's embedded in its genetics to destroy every egg around them, usually with its beak. For the bee eater bird, it thinks that this chick belongs to them, even though every other chick has been killed or dropped off and there's only one remaining. They still think it's legit, so it still feeds it. The bee eater stays busy all day and night so it can find food for its newborn that does not belong to him. A story like this does not happen once in a while. Everywhere there are different types of birds that do this. For a bird that does this, they're called broad parasites, and they're basically counted as parasites for doing such thing. What we just told you is a complete strategy that has been planned out for millions of years. And for an animal like this bird that is not that smart, to pull off a plan like this, it's insane. There are a lot of broad parasites in the world that drop their eggs off somewhere they don't belong. But in this video, we want to talk about one of the most famous broad parasites, the one everybody knows and loves. This one, the cuckoo bird. Before we talk about the cuckoo bird, we have to say one thing. We have other types of birds, mainly ducks, that rent out other birds' nests. They are not considered broad parasites, but they do borrow the other bird's nest. And once the duck chick hatches, it does not stay there to get fed by the unknown mother. It actually escapes the nest and tries to find its mother based on the smell. So in this case, they're not really stealing or killing other babies. They're just borrowing a spot for a little while until they're born and they go back to their home. This is the reason that the ducks that do this are not considered broad parasites. It is true that it does not pay rent for borrowing a spot, but it does not kill the other chicks and it doesn't ask for food. But let's get back to the cuckoo bird. Compared to other broad parasites, the cuckoo bird is much more advanced and popular, so evolution has really made its job easier. When other broad parasites drop their eggs off somewhere, their eggs are completely different from one another. So that is why the host of the nest could quickly realize that that one egg does not belong in this nest. And when they figured that out, they actually destroy it. They either drop it off or throw it out of the nest. But the cuckoo bird egg kind of fools every other bird because it could be similar to the other birds in that environment and they can't figure out which is which. Normally, the cuckoo bird egg hatches before every other chick, and once the cuckoo chick has been born, it does not destroy the other eggs in the nest with its beak. It rather throws it off the nest, and when you throw eggs off the nest, they either break, and even if it does not break, the mother will not go down there to get it because it's considered lost or killed. This is when the cuckoo bird becomes the only child of the nest. Compared to other birds, cuckoos are actually pretty big. They're around 60 to 80 centimeters. So in this case, it's very common for you to see a very young cuckoo bird in a nest getting fed by a much smaller host. And this image is very funny to see. Even though the baby size is more than double them, they still don't realize that it doesn't belong to them. Day and night they work so they can feed this big bird. I mean, just look how engineered and strategic the planning is, and how beautifully the birds execute it. The key factor in this strategy is that the cuckoo bird has to be born before every other egg in that nest. And if it's not, the plan is not going to work. So when it's born or it hatches, it doesn't have plenty of time. It has to get rid of the other eggs quickly. The reason for that is if the other eggs hatch at the same time or before him, the host of the nest could quickly realize that this bird does not belong here, just based on the sounds of the chicks. And once it realizes that the bird doesn't belong, it kills the baby or it throws it off the nest. But just like we said, the cuckoo bird is more clever than that, and it doesn't let it get to this point. But we have a question here. What does the cuckoo bird do when it grows up? Does it go back to its parents? Not really, because all this we're telling you is hardwired in its genetics, and it automatically knows exactly what to do for the plan to work well. It exactly knows how to be a proper brood parasite and where to plant the eggs, so the generation continues. The interesting part is that the cuckoo bird does not release its egg quickly. It actually hoards it longer than any other bird, so it can incubate inside its body, and once it's dropped off, it could make sure that that egg is gonna hatch before every other egg in that nest, so the plans work. The cuckoo bird is also the most active brood parasite, because throughout the year, it plants 12 to 22 eggs in different nests. And it's so successful that the success rate is actually higher than you think, and more survive rather than die. Where can you find the cuckoo bird in the world? You can find them pretty much everywhere because they are on every continent. The cuckoo birds love to migrate around the world. During the spring and summer era, they're in the northern part of the world. And once it starts to get cold after summer, they start heading south towards the warmer areas. Then when it gets warmer again, they go up north again. What we're trying to say is that no bird is safe from the cuckoo bird because you can find them everywhere. They enslave other birds. Not only do they not pay them, they also kill their chicks. In the 1950s, when European scientists were identifying different species and organisms, the British got familiar with this type of bird that never had a name before. So they decided to name it Cuckoo. And the reason for this name is that when it speaks, it sounds like this. This noise only comes out of the male cuckoo bird, and it only does it when it's looking for a mate. It's basically telling the female cuckoo, let's go make some babies, and you don't have to do anything about it. We can have other birds raise our kids. You might say, we live in these purple areas, but we've never seen this bird. That's because you might live in a crowded city, somewhere that the cuckoo bird hates and it stays away from. Another interesting fact about this bird is that the noise it makes is considered good luck. And not just in Europe, but you can find it in South Asia, like India, all the way to Indonesia. And the reason they say that, when you hear it, it brings good luck because it's so rare. Basically, all around the world, when you hear a unique, beautiful noise, it brings you happiness, so it's understandable for people to have these types of beliefs. But you can't trust this sound, because this bird is a con artist, and it enslaves and kills chicks. What do you guys think?
I just need